On November 15th, 2013, my dad went to the local ER because he sees blood in his stool. Now, he had been experiencing quite a bit of other symptoms too before he went to the ER. He was having indigestion, a lot of heartburn. He had been losing a lot of weight, about 20 pounds. They also found that he was anemic, meaning that he was losing a lot of blood. But the blood in his stool was the final indicator that made him go to the ER because he was really scared, since his brother had died of stomach cancer, that he might be following suit. I get there and my dad says, Aki, I'm afraid that I have stomach cancer. Can you just please make it very clear that it's in my family history? And I remember talking to the GI doctor before the endoscopy, and I say, this is my dad's fear. This is why he's here. And the GI doctor went in, looked at my dad's stomach, and said, it's not stomach cancer. There was a bit of a relief. It's not stomach cancer. So my dad ended up spending the night. They run some more tests on him. He gets discharged with diverculitis, and we celebrate Thanksgiving. My dad dodged a bullet. It's not stomach cancer. Unfortunately, the biopsies came back and it was stomach cancer. He told them he's 71 years old. He is Japanese. He's a smoker, had been smoking for 50 years. And that he had a family history of gastric cancer. So here's the problem. My dad went into the hospital with every single indication, every single risk factor that this is gastric cancer, and yet it was missed. So if we're not identifying it in our high-risk population, we're going to be missing it in everybody else. Follow us, join us. We've got to do something.
The prognosis for diagnosis at my stage is it could just be literally a few weeks.
A 5% chance of being alive in 5 years, that type of a thing.
I think something like 75% of cases is diagnosed at stage 4 in the US.
It's normally so
Far
advanced
before it's even discovered.
Just feeling full.
A lot of acid reflux at night.
Persistent heartburn.
Having some problems with swallowing.
Well, he started having indigestion issues, stomach issues.
I was very, very sensitive to whatever I was eating.
I was getting a lot of fluid coming back up.
Stabbing pain at the bottom of my sternum. Then I felt a bump like a end of a hot dog. Right near my belly button.
I got to the point where I could barely eat.
I was hospitalized with a stomach ulcer. I just fainted at school one day.
And all of a sudden, I just started throwing up blood.
I was throwing up blood.
I was 230 pounds. By the time I actually got my official diagnosis, I was, I believe, at 160. I had to contact my doctor and he said, oh, well, it's a mild case of, gastritis. You're probably too young for any type of cancer or anything like that.
I had been having GI issues, concerns, just problems, probably for a few years. Doctors just kept chalking it up to both A, getting older, and B, just stress, maybe IBS. This area is not known for our quality healthcare.
Indigestion issues, stomach issues. He started losing a little bit of weight. It just kind of kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And I kept telling him, you should go to the doctor. But he was an independent contractor and didn't have insurance. He didn't really want to go because it meant out-of-pocket costs.
I got diagnosed after about 2 years of having persistent heartburn. You're so young, you're in your 30s, you're not overweight. Make some lifestyle changes. Don't drink coffee. Stay away from salt, spice. And I made all those changes and nothing helped.
I ended up vomiting what appeared to be coffee grinds. And the GI still dismissed it and said, yeah, you got a bleeding ulcer. Stood up for myself and advocated, and they actually laughed at me and said, if you think this is going to make you feel better, we'll give you an endoscopy.
I think to myself, what if I pushed for an endoscopy sooner? Would those 6 months have changed?
They had done an endoscopy a year earlier, but I have completely circumvented this experience.
It was 6 months for them to diagnose me. During that time, I was stage 3.
I think had the doctor encouraged him to take a look earlier, he might have caught it at an earlier stage.
And now I'm advocating for early screening as well, especially for high-risk groups.
I would really advocate for an aggressive approach.
Better screening, earlier screening, more doctors aware of red flags.
We should start having some sort of screening for stomach cancer, because I don't think there's screening in the United States.
My hope is that diagnostics get better
Yes.
to catch it earlier, because we were so lucky that our son caught it
Yeah.
at stage 1, which is so rare.
So I'm just hopeful that we can have more cancer screening younger and just more of prevention rather than treatment.
We are here because we recognize that we need a resolution to these stomach cancer disparities. We need to have definitely more research. We need to figure out why this is happening in our younger population, but we also need to start with policy change and enforcement. We need some sort of screening guidelines, and we need to be able to identify our high-risk population and end stomach cancer once and for all.